Memo, thank you for everything you've done for me and my family.
What you really want is what moves you into action.
You have passion. Without passion, there's no life.
Well, time is money. Time is money, so we're gonna get it started. So guys, I wanna share a quick little story about Memo. So we met a year and a half ago, and he's become more than just a mindset mentor to me. He's become a friend. Went on vacation recently, and I'm just so grateful. I think people come into our lives at the right time, and that's what it was, because I had been searching for mindset. I noticed when I hired my first mindset business coach, back then it was like $1,000 a month for 30 minutes a week, and it was one of the best investments I ever made. But he scaled his business where he's like, hey, 30 minutes isn't really good for me anymore. So he moved on from coaching, and he kept doing more and more. So I had been searching for somebody, but you know, sometimes you kind of search, but you're not really looking. You're just kind of like pretending like, hey, I want to lose weight, but you're not really doing anything. Well, I really had put it in my head that I needed somebody. I needed some help. I wanted to grow my business. I wanted a better relationship with the people around me, and I just wanted to be better all around, a better person. And what I can tell you, without a shade of a doubt, he has helped me do that. And I feel like I'm a completely different human being than when I met him. And I think that has now been projecting onto our team. And I believe that in life, when you have something really special, you should share it. And that's what this is about. This event was, I want to be able to share what this gentleman has done for me. Now, I'm not qualified to share it, so I brought him, right? So, Memo, thank you for everything you've done for me and my family. And guys, really take some notes, pay attention, ask him questions. He's a super humble. Guys, I give you Memo Serrano.
Hola, ¿cómo están? They told me it's in Spanish, is that okay? Wow. You know, first of all, thank you for the opportunity of being here. You know, Frank, he came to me for mindset mentorship, but he became my mentor too. And that's the greatest thing, you know, that we all masters and we all students. If we are humble enough. In Proverbs 11:2, it says that wisdom comes to humble people. So if you want wisdom, like Solomon used to say, if you ask for something, ask for wisdom, right? And if you want wisdom, which is, by the way, knowledge plus experience, that's wisdom. If you want wisdom, you have to have a humble heart. And that's what Frank has. That's why he and his team have a lot of wisdom. And I needed that wisdom in my life because, honestly, yes, I made millions, but I made a big mess too. So I need him. And I appreciate what he's doing to me and my family too. Honestly, I'm being trained, I'm being mentored also. So thank you, brother, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Aplausos. All right, so I move a lot, and I also like to, engage with you guys and participate. So I will encourage you guys to take some notes, because think about this. Deep thinking arouses dormant powers. When you're thinking deeply, you access to your subconscious mind, which is the universal mind that connects to, whether you call it God, universe, or whoever you want to call it, okay? If you don't believe me, that's fine. Just write it down. Eventually you will. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. So I want to talk to you guys about laws of prosperity, okay? I want to spend as much time as possible giving you value instead of just telling you my story. But like really quick, I come from Mexico. I studied engineering. They brought me to the US in 2007 as an engineer. But then I started having these thoughts about freedom, and being my own boss and things like that. So I got in the crazy mindset as everyone, because every time you're doing something different, you're crazy, right? So I'm one of those. So I started, my wife and I thank my wife. Without her, nothing really good happened in my life. So un aplauso, thank you very much, appreciate it. And she and we started doing businesses back in Mexico, back here. And, we basically didn't have the success as we do have now, but we learned a lot. So failure is the biggest lesson, right? But I want to teach you guys, in this case, the laws of prosperity. What is prosperity for you? Write it down, please. Please. Get engaged. Arouses dormant power. So what is prosperity for you? I mean, how does it look in your life? By the way, we think in images. Every time I ask you for what color is your fridge, that picture image will come to your mind. What color is your car? If I ask you that, and then that picture will come in your mind. So we think in images. How does that image look of prosperity in your life? How does it look like? I give an example. Most people say, I want financial freedom. I interview tons of people, tons. I have tons of students, hundreds and hundreds of business owners, mostly in the US, but also in Europe and Latin America and stuff. And I always ask them, what do you want? Most of them, especially the ones in the US and especially the ones in real estate investments or realtors or business owners, they say, I want financial freedom. And I ask them, what does that look for you? Or what does it mean for you? Financial freedom, right? And then they tell me different meanings for them. Most of them, they say, well, I want to not worry about money. And I say, that's fine, but that's not financial freedom. And then some of them like, oh yeah, I want to have so many assets and live a great life. That's fine, but how does that look for you? Because honestly, if you don't have a clear and neat picture of what you really want, then you will not move into action. So I'll give you an example. Every time we are about to do something that's uncomfortable for us, that it scares us, we need to have a higher reason of doing it, because no one will actually do something that's uncomfortable. So in order for us to do things that are difficult, that are uncomfortable, we have to have a higher reason. Or we have to have what I call burning desire. Burning desire is something that you're like, let's do it. I get this, I vision that in my mind, and then I'm going to move towards a difficulty, something that's uncomfortable, right? So the only thing that actually crashes your excuses. I'm sorry, I'm getting already pumped up, huh? So the only thing that crashes your excuses, your fears. Fear is the biggest, how can I call this? The thing that interrupts the success of most people. The thing that stops most people. Fear. Fear of the opinion of others, fear of failure, you name it. So the only thing that crashes your excuses, your biggest fears, is actually a burning desire. But a burning desire comes from a clear and neat picture of what you really want. What did I say? So when I ask the people, I want, what do you want? And they say, I want financial freedom. And I say, well, how does that look like? And they can explain it. That means that's not what they really want. What you really want is what moves you into action. You have passion. Without passion, there's no life, right? So the passion comes from a clear and neat picture of what you want. Make sense? So, believe it or not, most people don't have a clear picture of what they want. And that is the first and biggest step you should take. The right set of words triggers the right image in your mind. The right set of words triggers the right image in your mind. And we express it something like, oh, I get it. This is what I want. That is the image. If you have not done that, then you don't have a clear image. If you don't have a clear image, then you will not get a burning desire. If you don't have a burning desire, you will not be able to stop your fears and crash your excuses. And if you do so, if you don't, what really significant we get in life? Nothing. Would you agree? So clear picture, okay? Now, this is like a 3-month class, but I will try to, summarize it. Okay, so believe it or not, there are universal laws that govern our lives, whether we like it, whether we want it, whether we believe in them or not. There are universal laws. They're in the Bible. They're in the old sacred books. And those laws, the only and main and highest purpose of those laws is order. Order of everything. And I know by seeing all the things that are happening right now in the world, I know we might say, there's no order, right? But trust me, in order for the world to have order, we need those laws. And one of those principal laws that govern your life, whether you believe it or not, or have realized of that or not, is cause and effect. Cause and effect is what you put in, you get out. Does that make sense? Action, reaction. Sowing, reaping. Giving, receiving. That is the greatest law. It is a law whether you like it or not. So the question for you is, do you really want prosperity? Whatever that means for you. Maybe it means freedom for you. Maybe it means a lot of money. That's fine. Whatever that means for you, okay, if you want prosperity, you have to follow those laws. In other words, you have to live in harmony with those laws. I'll give you an example. Most entrepreneurs or most business people, they want to get the order, they want to get the business without giving first. And I ask you, are you guys business owners or no? See? Okay. So I'll ask you this. What are you giving of value first so you can actually get back? I'll give you another hint. We always tend to buy from people that we feel connected to. I like it. I was here it is again. Okay, a ver de nuevo. We always tend to buy from people that we feel connected to it. That was already said. Piénsele. Think it. Trust. Inspired. Right? So we always buy from people that we trust, that we get inspired by, right? That we are connected to. So now my question to you as a business owner is, what are you bringing of value to those so they can feel trust, so they can feel connected to you, so they can feel inspired by you, and then they can give you the order? Right? Makes sense? Does that make sense? That is a law, and that is the biggest prosperity law that you should follow. What is it that you are giving of value first so you get the order or their trust or their business? Right? Now, my mentor, Bob Proctor, who knows who Bob Proctor is? It's too old. That's why maybe you guys don't know. You know, you do. Okay. But Bob, he was a mentor of Tony Robbins. You guys who know who Tony Robbins is? So famous, right? Well, Bob was his mentor too. Not his only mentor, but one of them. Okay, so Bob said, every person that you meet, you should see 4 letters in his forehead. MMIF. Make me feel important. MMFI. Make me feel important. So one of the ways to give first is if you make a person feel important, then they will actually trust you. They will connect to you. His mentor Earl Nightingale has a recording that I really encourage you to listen it at least 2-3 times a week, which is called the magic word. The magic word is attitude. So if you treat every single person as the most important person that comes to you in your life at that present moment, and you see in his forehead, her forehead, MMFI, that will change everything. Make me feel important. So the question for you is, how can you make feel important your customers? Write it down. This is something you should really think about it. How can I make feel important to my customers, or my prospects, or my leads, or the people in general? I'll give you an example. I spend thousands of dollars every month to have a team that's creating, editing, and posting videos in all my social media. That is a cost that I'm assuming. Why do I do that? Why does it have a lot of views? Well, because they see value, but do I have the business of all of them? No. Frank does a lot of videos too. Does he get all those businesses from those people, from those views? No. But you are planting on the universe that seed, which, please trust me when I say this, it has to come back. Because it's a law. So one of the greatest laws of prosperity that you can learn is giving. But giving something of value. Okay? Now, am I adding value to you guys? You sure? Awesome. Thank you. All right. So how does the money get created? How you earn money? How you earn money?
Provide a service.
Provide a service, okay? What else? Sales. What else? How you make money? Come on.
Solve problems.
Solving problems. What else? How you making money? Working, okay? What else? Printing. Call me. Please call. I'm kidding. No. Honestly, most people will say that you make money working, right? Let me tell you that's wrong. Why? Money is just one, write it down. Money is just one end of a transaction, and the other side is value. Now, let's say you work 50 hours a week, and then you go to the supermarket. What will you give the cashier, the lady, right? What will you give the money that it costs you so much life? Time is life, isn't it? What will you give it to her? Why? If it took you money, if it took you time, if it took you a lot of sweat, maybe, if it took a lot of work, why will you give it to someone? Why? Can someone,
Exchange of value.
Exchange of value. That sounds so smart, my friend. But honestly, why will you give it to someone? Why?
The value that food brings to the nourishment.
Because we're always exchanging something of less value to get something that we value more. That we value more. Isn't it? Come on. Bite that bill. That $10 or $100 bill. Bite it. Does that satisfying? Right? So it doesn't feed you, right? Doesn't fill you, right? You don't get satisfied. You don't eat money. So the reason why you exchange it is because you're getting something back, which you value more, right? So there's always a transaction. A transaction, in other words, in exchange, from one end, you will get money unless you provide something of value to who? To me. Why would someone give you the money to me? Because they value what I'm giving. So this is a key point of prosperity. You should think on the customer's needs, not on your all features. So in other words, people don't care about your programs and your products. They don't care. They care about their issues, their problems. Solve their problems, and they will give them the money. Make sense? Does that make sense? So my question to you is, do you want money? See? No? Yeah? No? See? Come on. Money comes to energy. Let's go. Yes, I want it. Do you want money or not? Do you want money? Okay. So if you want money, first of all, it's energy. It's frequency. Put yourself in the frequency of money. Yes, I want it. So what? Right? So if I want money, then you have to ask yourself, what am I bringing of value to those who have it, to have what I want? If I want money, what am I bringing of value? Not what I value, what they value. And most people, I call it throwing out the product. Does someone knows what I mean by that? Throwing out the product, throwing out the program, throwing out the service, your service. So let's say you offer something and you're throwing out, you're speaking with someone and you're, oh yeah, I have this program and it has this and this. Oh yeah, oh. But question, do they care? Do they really care? I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a realtor and then you have this open house, right? So in this open house, there's a lady or maybe a couple that comes in and they're looking for a big garage because they have 3 cars. All the thing they care is just a big garage. But we forget that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we don't listen, and we don't ask them. And then let's say the realtor starts saying, oh, this kitchen is so beautiful. And they really don't care. How many customers of those do you have? They don't give a damn. Oy, perdón. Right? They don't give a damn. So my question to you is, are you speaking, are you talking in what they do care about, what they are looking for? So people don't care about your products or services. They care about their problems. So the language that you should speak is their problems. Does that make sense? That's one of the greatest laws of prosperity you should definitely live by. Okay? Make sense? Awesome. So your mind is your biggest asset. And you guys were talking about assets and liabilities, right? So liability is what takes money out of you, and asset is what brings money to you. Okay, fine. But your mind, yes, it can be your greatest asset. Can you come back, please? Yes, your mind can be your greatest asset, but it can also be your greatest liability. Trust me, I've been there. So if you don't realize that your mind can be your biggest enemy or your biggest ally, it all depends on if you have a trained mind or if you have mastered your mind. If your body is the one that is mastering your mind, you're done. But if your mind is the one that's really, really taking the decisions, then it's your asset. If it's your body, in other words, emotions, if your emotions are greater than your actual mind that you're thinking, you're done. So that's why your mind can be your greatest asset or it can be your greatest liability. It all depends how you have trained your mind to do so. Make sense? And believe it or not, as human beings, we study everything, but we don't study ourselves. We study everything, but we don't study ourselves. So the greatest asset, the greatest study, the greatest thing, the greatest project that you should get into is self-knowledge. Self-knowledge. Let me ask you something. How can you actually say that you know someone? How can you say that you know someone? Because you know he or her name? How can you know? We like to judge. Yeah, we like to judge. Come on. Oh, no, I don't like her. Right? Why? I know. You're judging. Now, so why we say that we know someone? Because of the way that he or she behaves. So in order for you to know you, you should look for your behavior and observe it. How are you behaving? And what you behaving, it comes from your belief system. Your belief system comes from childhood. Trust me, even before. So if you want to have the results, the prosperity, the life that you want, the biggest project is self-knowledge. You should study yourself. So how can I do that, Memo? I'll give you an example. If you have a book, and let's say, or a training or a program, and then you're reading, one thing is studying the book, and another way different is studying yourself. So the way you do so is by reading that thing, you ask yourself, am I behaving this way? If the question is no, then I should work on myself, right? Because the results, whether it's money, whether it's our body, whatever, they come from the way we behave. And the way we behave comes from what we believe is possible or not. So when you study yourself, you get to know you. And trust me, most people, they don't know themselves. And the biggest problem of human beings is lack of self-knowledge. Once you do know yourself to like really deep, then you know why you get mad at that, why you act that way, why you feel that way, why, like you promised yourself that you're going to do something and you don't do it. I know you guys don't do that. I'm saying the ones that are up there. Right? So every time we promise ourselves to do something and we don't do it, what is it? What is it? Most people say, I want to do something, but I don't know, something is stopping me. Have you said that? Something is stopping me. Now, if you knew exactly what was it, or what is it, you will not call it something, right? But if we call it something, that's because we don't know ourselves. And in order for us to have significant lives, we have to get to know that something like really deep and knowing this is exactly what's stopping me from doing what I want. And trust me, those are beliefs, like limiting beliefs, like paradigms. You guys know what a paradigm is? A paradigm is just think about like a software, and it has a program that controls a robot. But this is a robot, and the actual program is the paradigm. And the paradigm is composed by many habits. So in other words, do we know what we have to do? Yes. Do we do it? Why? Because habits are way more powerful than intellect. And believe it or not, I don't know, but I would suggest for you to write this down. You don't need to know more. You need to do more. In order for your life to change, you don't need to know more. You need to do more. Yeah, Memo, but I try, but something's stopping me. That something is what you have to work on. And that's your paradigm. That's your subconscious mind. Have you guys heard about subconscious mind? See? So our mind, we live in 3 planes at the same time. Spirit, mind, and body. So the spirit is always in expansion. In other words, we want more, and that's fine. And it always wants to express it itself physically. In other words, to bring our dreams to reality. But the mind is the one that is the bridge between your spirit and your physical part of it. And if that bridge is broken, you will not bring your dreams to your reality. Make sense? So what do you have to work on? Your mind. So believe it or not, success, whatever that means for you, okay? Whatever that means for you, prosperity, success, abundance, whatever there is. I'm assuming you guys are doing business. I'm assuming you guys are here because you want to learn something that takes you to the next level, or no? O viene la comida. You guys want to eat something? No, I'm kidding. But honestly, the only thing that you have to work on is mindset. Mindset is everything. And the real mindset is becoming aware. Aware. You guys know what awareness is? Awareness is realizing. Darme cuenta. Like realize. I'm realizing like, oh wow, I said something and I did something different. Believe it or not, most people, they don't realize of that. So that's why awareness is everything. Once you become aware that you're saying something and doing something different, that's when you become aware. Now, can someone change something that he's not aware? How can I change something that I'm not aware of? No way, right? So the key is becoming aware. Awareness is everything. Now, if you want really results, guys, become aware. Now, how do I do that, Memo? The quality of your life comes from the quality of your questions you ask yourself. Questions. Question your beliefs. Question your behaviors. Question, like, why am I acting like that? Why am I getting mad? Why am I doing this? Why am I spending money? Why am I not making money? Why? Why am I afraid of the opinion of others? Why am I making phone calls? Why? Where is it? Those like deep questions will get you deep answers. And that is the reason, like introspection, that is the reason why how you become, that's how you become aware. And becoming aware is everything. Right? So that's why I created a program that is called elite, not standard, elite mindset. Elite mindset, it's composed of 12 lessons. And those lessons, I give you just like an overview. First of all, first lesson is who you really are. Let me ask you something. Would you be able to write down half a page of who you really are without saying the name, without saying where you come from, without saying your last name, without saying anything? Your possessions, your family, your title, anything. Would you be able to write down who you really are? No. Ask someone who you really are. And they say, Memo. That's it. That, right? So now, I really, guys, encourage you to be engaged in this. This is so powerful. Let's say you have a $10 bill. Okay? What do you think you can get out of, or what do you think you can buy out of a $10 bill? Not much, right? Right? ¿Verdad que no? Now, imagine that knowing who you really are is the same as a $10 bill. What do you think you can get in life? Not much more, right? Trust me, most people say, oh, I don't have a degree. So what? Oh, I was born in El Ranchito in Mexico. There's no way. Oh, you know what? Whatever that is, right? So what are they saying? I don't think I'm capable of making it, right? So they don't know who they are. Now, what if knowing who you are will be the same as a $100 million bill? I know that doesn't exist, but let's say. Do you think you can get a lot of things out of a $100 million account bill? Right? Now think, what if you knew who you really are that is the equivalent of that $100 million? I mean, knowing who you are is knowing the power that you have of attracting to your life using the universal laws to do and manifest whatever you want. This has happened to you. You guys have attracted people, circumstances, ideas of doing things. This is his idea and other people's idea. But what happens when we have an idea and we don't know who we are? Oh no, we start getting afraid, right? And we start putting excuses. And we start like putting out the logic, and that's why knowing who you really are. What if I tell you that you have 6 higher powers that you can use to bring anything that you want in your life? You will say I'm crazy. Come on, I know. You have superpowers. Did you know? Do you want to know what those superpowers are? Really? Really?
Yes.
Okay. Imagination, perception, reason, intuition, memory, and will. Imagination, perception, reason, intuition, memory, and will. Those are your 6 powers, superpowers. The question is, do you use them? I'll give you an example. What do you think we normally imagine? What do you think we imagine most of the time? Good stuff or bad stuff? Right? Is it Choco? Right? What if that happens? What if we're always thinking of bad things? So we're using a superpower against us. Believe it or not, whatever image you hold in your mind, you will become that. Believe it or not, whatever image, and the image is your thoughts, your ideas. Whatever idea, whatever thought you hold in your mind, that's what you become. I can't. Guess what? You can. Why? Because you just said it. And you said it many times. Right? Now, the question, I got a question for you. Do you want to believe that you can or can't? And then why are you bringing those images to your mind? That's because we don't know how to use our superpowers. Perception. Perception is the interpretation of things. And trust me, the way you see life is the way you live life. Wayne Dyer used to say, when you change the way you see things, the things that you see change. So changing the perception, it's key. Now, did you know that no one can get a single dime without the interaction of another human being? Did you know that no one can, even the traders, there's another guy else on the other side, okay? No one can get a single dollar, a single dime without the interaction of with another human being, right? Now, do you think that the other human beings, including your partner, has the same perception that you have of things? Buena suerte. Good luck. Right? They don't. But why we tend to say, this has to be this way? That means we're not getting anything out of that interaction with our human being. So we don't know that we have this power in our mind to change the perception of things. But we need to be humble. That's why Proverbs 11:2 says, the wisdom comes to humble people. It doesn't say exactly as that, but that's my translation. I don't study Bible in English. I studied in Spanish. That's why my translations aren't exactly the same thing. Apologize for that, but yeah. Okay? So, use those powers. Intuition. Intuition is the voice of God talking to you. Do you actually use the intuition or you use your logic? I'll give you an example. Oh, you know what? What if we do that business? Or what if we do that? and then you logic 2 seconds after. Come on, you should not do that. And it gives you all the logical reasons why you should not do it, right? That's the way our mind works. Now, I'll ask you something. What do you follow the most? Your logic or your intuition? Believe it or not, most of the people, they follow the logic. That's why they're stuck. If you don't want to be stuck, you have to start following more your intuition instead of your logic. Because logic talks about all limitations, and intuition talks about all possibilities. Write it down. I'm giving you, believe it or not, something that it cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. I wish they taught me that, when I was a kid. So, use your intuition. Follow it. Don't try to make it logical. Because it's not. Logical is something that it will limit yourself. Intuition is something that it will give you power. It will give you possibilities. Now, the reason why logic takes in when we have an idea, this outrageous or crazy idea, is because logic always uses the 5 senses as a proof. I'll give you an example. You want to buy something, and then you check your account, you check your wallet, and you're like, I don't have money. Ya que se pueda. Next time. And what's the decision that we make? We hold it, we don't do it because the circumstances called money are not there. That's logical, right? How can I do it if I don't have money? Well, trust me, you in your life have done many times things without money. And believe it or not, you don't need money to move into action. You can actually trade, you can talk to someone, you can, pawn anything. You can do whatever you want in order to get what you want. But the thing is, logic is killing your dreams. Write it down. Logic is killing your dreams. And if you follow logic the most, and I'm not saying you should never listen to logic. I'm saying you should balance it out. Make sense? That's why you guys need to understand your mind. So, okay. Now, why do you want money? Why do you want money? Why? En serio, seriously, why? Why do you want money? Believe it or not, what most people want is peace of mind. That is the real wealth. Peace of mind. And trust me, you might have a lot of money, but not peace of mind. So if I ask you, what are the steps I have to follow in order to have peace of mind? Well, first of all, do you guys value peace of mind or no? Yes. How about freedom? Yes. Okay, how about feel fulfilled? Like, I'm living the life of my dreams. Would that be good for you or no? Yes. You sure? Yes. You don't sound like, yes, Memo! Right? Put it passion. Without passion, we're nothing. Right? So, if you want peace of mind, question, do you know what are the right and specific steps in order for you to have peace of mind? Seriously, I'm so serious on this. Then, how can we get peace of mind? Would you like me to give you some hint? Yes. All right. First and biggest, not the only one, but the biggest, self-control. Self-control. If you don't control yourself, there's no way you can have peace of mind. Now, how do I get to self-control, Memo? Because I don't have a remote control that controls me, right? I don't have an app that controls me. So how can I control me? How can I get self-control? Okay. With those superpowers I told you, when you follow those the most instead of your 5 senses, that's when you get self-control. In other words, I hear something, they criticize me, they judge me. If I use the five senses to make decisions, then I'm not in control. But if I use my own criteria, my own mind, my own perception, and I remind myself who I really are, then I'm in control. Make sense? So here it is. This is extremely important. I call stimulus something that you hear, something that you see, something that you feel, something that is coming from your five senses. I call that a stimulus. Okay? So when you have the stimulus, I give you an example. Someone is, how it's called? Mouthing you? So let's say someone is saying something like that. That's a stimulus. Or maybe you see in the news, oh, crisis is coming. That's a stimulus. From the stimulus to your response, there is a space. When you are reacting, you're not using that space. When you are responding, you are using the space. And trust me, I, for 42 years, did not use that space. So I reacted to everything. And by the way, reaction, it doesn't have to be like so spontaneous, right? And outgoing, no. It can be like depressing. That's reacting too. When they say something like, te desinflas, right? That's reacting. So you don't actually think. Believe it or not, we don't think. We don't use the mind. So if you're insulting me, am I really that thing? Then why we get mad or why we get sad? Why? Don't you know who you really are? That's because we don't think. We react. So if you react to things, there's no way you can have peace of mind. So now let me ask you something. Would you agree that peace of mind is the greatest wealth or no? Yes or no? Yes. Super. Then the greatest wealth is in your mind. I just told you, it's self-control. So if you learn how to respond instead of reacting, then you own your own peace of mind. Other things, why are we blaming money? Why are we blaming the government? He can say whatever he wants. I don't give a damn. Just think. And instead of reacting, respond to things. Then you are in control. And when you're in control, you have peace of mind. That means happiness. So happiness and peace of mind, it's a decision. It's not a circumstance. It's not something, I don't need money to be happy. I'm not saying money is bad, but I don't need something external. Write it down. I don't need anything external to me to have happiness, to have peace of mind. Because what I just told you is self-control. What I just told you is a decision for me to not react, but responding. So since I'm responding, I'm making the decision to be in control. Since I'm making the decision to be in control, that means that I'm deciding to be happy. Make sense? So, is happiness related to circumstances? Not at all. Happiness and plenitude is all related to what you decide to entertain in your mind. That is self-control. Make sense? I came from Mexico, and there was one time in my life that I was sleeping on the floor. I was making $7 a day. I was working 12 midnight to 6 a.m. And then the, how is it called? Cockroach? Those cucarachas? How is it called? So those bites, my wife, she laughs because she doesn't think they bite. They bite. Trust me. So there was a time in my life that it was so bad, like really bad. But I promised myself two things. That I will learn English because I knew English will open the doors for me, and also that I will fulfill my dreams. In 2007, they brought me to the US as an engineer. That's why I came to LA. And nothing against that, but what I'm saying is, the only way you can really live the life that you want is by holding that image of what you really want and not negotiate it with anything or anyone. And that's the reason why I'm here. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.